All right. All right, all my little YouTube motherfuck faces. Oh, shit. It's a special edition. Saturday night. We got a highly honored guest. One Mr. GED SKEPTIC Media. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much for the introduction, VB.
Yep.
And
it's a great honor to have you on here.
It should be an honor because I am the king of fucking Scotland.
Holy shit, the actual king. The bloodline remains pure.
Well, technically, it's Ireland and Scotland before, the King Davids and the Normans came in. But aye. So you're in the presence of Celtic royalty.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the presence of Germanic Polish royalty right here too.
No such thing. Anyway, what did you want to talk about?
I guess we could talk about, you've had some killer videos about architecture lately. You've been doing a lot of exploring in the open lands of Scotland over there.
Yep.
You've really come up with some really beautiful fucking places to show us on your channel, man. I really appreciate that. It's like a real testament to, European technology, European architecture and stuff. It's beautiful what us Europeans can do, and all throughout history. But then I see this shit about the mud flood. And it makes me question whether or not European people are just a fucking myth and that there's this ancient city called Tartar or some shit. And if it's supposed to be Atlantis,
There probably was an ancient region called Tartaria. But there was lots of ancient regions, man. There's fucking like Carthage. What about Carthage, man? Like North Africa. Totally disappeared now. What about the Prussians? Maybe where you descend from? Prussia. No such thing. No, there's no such a place. There was what about the Mongolian Empire? If you look at the map, Tartaria would be the Mongolian Empire if it fucking existed. Like that's how much they conquered. If you look at the map of Tartaria, so maybe Tartaria was the old Mongol Empire,
or the old Khazar Empire. The Eastern European, almost Russia. That Ukrainian type area.
If I understand correctly, man. Tartaria, I think, was like a term we use like Asia or like Russia, like the USSR wasn't just one country, it was made up of lots of countries. And I think Tartaria was a sort of term that was similar. It was like a conglomeration of different countries, because I think you had like Chinese Tartaria, and I think they were Turkic people as well. They reckon they were like Turkic people. So I'm not too sure. I think it was just maybe like an old Russian sort of before USSR and before like all these other sort of Russian giant states. I think Tartaria could have been another Russian giant state, something like that.
Yeah, it seems like it would make sense, because if you look at some of the Russian architecture in Moscow, you can see a lot of the same stuff that you see even in the United States. There's stuff like that. Even in South America, there's Russian looking.
So what is the myth behind the Tartaria thing? What is the mystery? Is it they're trying to hide this civilization, or what is the conspiracy behind the Tartaria stuff?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I've heard a couple conflicting opinions. There's some channels that are like pro-Christian in their approach, and they say it refers to the Bible flood. And then there's other people that are using the mud flood as evidence against the Bible being real at all, and it's getting real confusing right now. I don't know I know what I want to believe. I want to be Christian. I want to believe in Jesus Christ and all that. So I'm leaning towards that side, but there's always people pushing other things. There's always these other ideas that are always trying to get pushed down our throats. And I feel like a lot of time those ideas are pushed down our throats so that people reject Christianity specifically. I know you're not necessarily a Christian person, but I feel like Christianity is one of those truly persecuted factions of people on this planet right now.
Well, I'm deeply interested in Christianity. I'm deeply interested in all religions, and I don't see why all these religions have to start in the Middle East. Why does Islam, Christianity, Judaism, why do they all have to come from the Middle East? Why isn't there one major religion that comes from the West? When we are the bastions of freedom, democracy, why did none of these major religions begin in the West? Well, my theory is, VB, man, it's not just my
Yeah,
theory. There's lots of
yeah,
people, but I think Christianity started in the West, in Europe, Western Europe, and the
yeah.
Romans took it back. They decided to call it Christianity. I don't think it was even called Christianity when it was in the West, in Europe. It was maybe like there was an early form of Christian. The Romans called it Christianity, but I'm not sure what I think it was the Celtic peoples had their own form of Celtic Christianity, and the Romans took it away because the Romans were still Hellenized when they were in Britain.
What does that mean, Hellenized?
Like
Just
they
the
still
ancient
believed in
gods.
Greek gods and
Okay.
goddesses. They still had they're poly, and they believed in many gods. I think they picked up that the British people probably believed in one God, and took it back. Maybe that's why the Brits were so hard to defeat, because we had a strong religious bond. And it's weird, VB, how Christianity got to the British shores around the year 600, they reckon, or maybe earlier, 400, to the British shores. And places like Lithuania didn't get Christianity till like the 13th century. Like they were still pagans. So how did it miss all these countries and end up in Britain? They try and say it came through Spain and things like that, but I think it began in Britain, then worked its way to the Middle East. If anything, Christianity.
Well, it's been argued that the Roman Catholic Church actually started Islam, and that Islam is a completely manufactured religion based on literally nothing, and that it was started by, heretic Christians
Well,
that have kind of.
Muhammad was apparently, well, you know that Islam is the last religion of the Abrahamic religions. And apparently Muhammad was married to a Catholic woman. She was rich. She was like a princess or a king, I think. And she funded his traveling, his preaching. He was just like a fucking cult leader. He was trying to gather people to join a new cult. And I think he tried to preach his stuff to the Jews, and the Jews rejected it, kind of thing. And that's where the satanic verses in the Quran come from. There's a passage in the Quran that's called the satanic verses, and this was the time when Muhammad tried to preach Islam to the Jews, and they rejected it. And then he came up with a new version, and he was saying it was some kind of demon possessed him. And it's like you said, it just sounds like a lot of shit. It sounds like it came from Catholicism. Like there's roots in Islam. Like the first man in Islam is Adam, and there's Gabriel. There's all these references to Christianity and Judaism in Islam. In fact, if you don't believe in Jesus as an Islamic person, that's probably sacrilege. And to be Muslim, I think you have to believe in all that shit in the Bible as well, because they believe it too.
Yeah, as far as I know, Islam and the Old Testament are on the same highway. And then at a certain point, Islam takes an exit from that, takes a side spin from the Old Testament. And that's where it begins.
And this stuff with the Exodus, man, I'm telling you, these tribes that they talk about, this is just the migration of the Celts through Europe after the Ice Age, can reach in the new promised land, and all this shit in the Bible about the Jews being the chosen people. That's bullshit, man. I swear to God, that's bullshit. Like, they were the chosen people, and then he changed his mind because they wouldn't fucking listen to him. They wouldn't follow him. They wouldn't follow his word. Elijah eventually, I think it was Elijah, gathered some fucking his followers, and then God said the people that follow his teachings are the chosen people, and they'll populate the four corners of the world, and they'll be living on isles. They'll finally be living on isles. Israel isn't an island. Britain is, and Israel and Jews haven't populated the four corners of the world. The European people have. So I think the chosen people from the Bible are Europeans. Simple as that.
I believe it. I believe it. One way or another, I feel like that's really the bottom line. I don't believe that a bunch of crazy Arabs who, live like cavemen are God's chosen people. I mean, look at what, without sounding like a damn white nationalist over here, but just, look at what white people have built. Look at what Europeans, look at what Europeans have built all around the world. They said that the sun never sets on the British Empire. Maybe there's a reason behind that. You know what I'm saying?
BB, it's probably easier to look at the world or imagine the world without Western influence. Because it's too hard to think of what we've brought to this world, man, because we've brought so much. You'd be sitting here all day telling the world what Europeans have brought to the world. What's easier is to think, what would the world be like without the influence of Westerners? Without the fucking sciences, without the planes, without the transport, without the medical, we would be still in the fucking Stone Age, man. We'd be still in the fucking Stone Age.
See, and that's where I get worried about this Tartarian conspiracy, because it's almost like it's a conspiracy that suggests the idea that Europeans aren't responsible for any of this awesome stuff, and that's what the idea. I feel like that's the idea behind it, and that it predates Europeans, and that Europeans just inherited it somehow, even though that doesn't make sense at all. Because look, Europeans are in South Africa, Europeans are in Australia, Europeans are in North America, in South America, in Asia,
Antarctica, North Pole. It's like Europeans, every European's conquered the four corners of the world, and it's kind of biblical in a way, because it said that they would do that, and they'll be the most populous. They'd be the most populous, and we still are, VB, as much as this whole thing about black people taking over or Muslims taking over Europe or whatever it is, we still are the most populous on this planet.
Well, I don't know about that, bro. I think that white people are actually the smallest population on this planet right now, and that a large chunk is Indian, a large chunk is African, a large chunk is Asian, real big chunk is Asian, and that white people are actually the smallest in number on this planet. But in our countries, we are still the majority. But of course, that's Justin Trudeau in Canada, Barack Obama in the United States, and Zionists everywhere are trying to change that. They basically want to kill Whitey off, but that's a whole other story.
You believe that, man?
Definitely.
I didn't think that's true, man. I didn't think they're trying to kill us off. I don't.
That's what the interracial hookup culture is all about. If you watch that show Black Mirror, it was a big show in Great Britain. That show Black Mirror, right?
But that's a choice, man. That's a choice. Like this whole interracial get-together is a choice at the end of the day.
It's a choice, but I'm telling you, every single episode out of all 4 or 5 seasons or whatever of that show, every single episode inferenced interracial hookups and glamorized them. Why would a show do that in Europe? Why? Specifically that thing. It's such a small percentage.
Maybe they're trying to antagonize us. There's no way that the media and these adverts, even the adverts, are pushing interracial stuff, and like there's no way that these companies, there's smart people behind all these companies and these advertisements in the media. There's no way that they think that the population, like the white population, are happy with that. I think they're deliberately antagonizing old Whitey over there. They're poking the big bear in the corner there.
That kind of makes sense too. Yeah. But at the same time, with the younger and younger generations, and the more stupid people get, and the more that they think that whatever's on TV is actually what's cool and what they should aspire to be like, I think it's going to have the effect that they really want, which is it's going to change the minds of the people. It's already been influencing people like crazy. I mean, think about all the myths that people believe in society just because it's some show from the 1960s that started a myth and everyone believes that that's the truth. There's all kinds of stuff like that, all laden throughout our entire culture.
But it's too obvious, man. It's too obvious, this stuff, because it's getting pushed in our faces. Like you said, it's in everything. Like, but it's too obvious. It's almost like, right, just think, right, we think our governments are left-wing. We think our governments are left-wing, liberal. They want to do all this stuff. They want to make us mix. They want to make us trans. They want to make us, but what if, right? What if they are really fucking right-wing conservative motherfuckers, right? And they know they can't push the public to be racist. They can't make them racist, right? by doing the Nazi or the Hitler, like the blacks are bad. We're past all that now. Maybe this is a more sophisticated way to turn the public a more right wing by deliberately pushing aggressive left wing. And the natural response for a person is to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Even people that were central, even people that were even on the left are starting to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is too much. This is when you're changing the laws to suit these people and pandering to the minorities.
But after they change laws, it's too late.
So obvious, man. It's so obvious what they're doing to us that it's almost like they're wanting us to be racist. They want us to be right wing, and they can't make us do it. So they force the opposite on us. So it's just natural to respond.
So they're trying to incite a revolt and a revolution, a force.
I think they don't care about immigrants. I don't think the people in power care about immigrants. Do you think they honestly care about immigrants? Like bringing all these immigrants over here, housing them, giving them benefits, giving them all the. Do you think these people care about them? No, I think they're bringing them into the fucking trap. They need something. They can't have the people fighting each other.
Okay,
they can't have the people fighting each other. They need a minority to target. They need someone here. I mean, so bring them over, yay! Because they're going to be the future targets when the shit does hit the fan.
You really think so? You really think Whitey's going to go on a fucking...
We need somebody. We need houses to burn down. They need someone to target when this does eventually come to a boiling point, because it will come to a boiling point with this shit, with the immigration, with the fucking the Antifa aggressiveness, this liberal left-wing feminism, trans, all this fucking stuff. It will come to a boiling point with people, because people I knew that were liberal and left are now waking. I was telling these people about this shit years ago, and they were laughing at me, and now they're taking me serious about all this liberal left-wing stuff. And I think it's a way to make us more right-wing, more aggressive, more unliberal, and more for the state, more for the state, more for, I don't know, man.
I see that too. I was thinking
psychology, man. It's fucking, because it's too obvious. It's too obvious.
It's obvious to people like you and me who are smart, but what about all the dumb people that's affecting? It's not really obvious to them at all. They believe hook, line, and sinker. They believe all the bullshit that's fed to them. They don't see how it could be a psyop like that. Because you're right, it's beyond ridiculous, the things that they shove in our face now, and like the law. And the thing is that once they pass laws, it's almost too late. Mm-hmm. Unless they're counting on a physical, violent revolution to take back, But then they scare us off with their California laser fires. And they could just zap your house from the sky, and you can't do anything about it. You're just done. So it's almost like this mixed message of like, be really pissed off, and then when you revolt, we're just going to kill you anyways. I don't know what to believe, man.
Because when people do revolt, and when the shit does hit the fan, and we do start targeting the minorities that we welcomed to begin with, this is when the government steps in, saying, right, we gave you your chance. We tried to be liberal and all this. You have stepped over the mark. We're going to change laws. There's going to be curfews. We're going to control you more. Blah 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 blah. This is what it is. They're making us a more aggressive society. There's not a lot of people aren't talking about it though. That's the thing. I know lots of people that think the same way as me, but aren't brave enough to talk about it. But they're thinking about it. And I'm telling you, VB, most people in my life around me don't agree with what's going on. They can see the shit that's getting rammed in their kids' faces. And it's becoming a joke now. And Scotland is one of the boiling points, man. We've just actually accepted LGBTQ into our curriculum, into our kids' curriculum, and it's forced and it's compulsory. It's compulsory. It's the first country in the world to have it compulsory.
Okay, that is straight up satanic, bro. Do you see how that works? That's like they're directly targeting Christian belief systems and attacking specifically the Christian belief system by doing that. So if that's the case, I mean, well, I don't know, man. See, it's another level when they start doing that. It's like it's a spiritual thing at that point. How could that be something that's so contrived? A real Christian, if they wanted us to be conservative and have this backlash, reverse psychology effect, like you're saying, then why would they break God's laws like that? They wouldn't. That's why I think it is an antagonistic force that's not wanting us to be.
And you could be right.
It wants us to be liberal.
And I think you could be right with the whole Christian thing, because Although you don't have to believe in the whole God thing or Jesus thing, but the values and the morals that Christianity carries with it,
LGBT,
it goes against all the values of the LGBTQ, and it kind of goes against it. It goes against homosexuality. It goes against certain aspects that the liberals are pushing. So it's almost like a counter. And even if you're a Christian, you don't believe in God and Jesus, you still hold certain values. Like, to me, I wouldn't class myself as a Christian, but I follow Christmas, and I've grew up in a Christian environment. Really, I have. So I feel it's part of my culture anyway, whether I like it or not. I'm a Christian because it's part of my culture. It's ingrained into my culture. So, like,
and the LGBTQ stuff it's biological, and it has to do with reproduction and all.
When they attack Christianity, they attack my culture. If I'm a Christian or not, like I said, it's ingrained into my culture. To me, it's ingrained into my culture. Like, you see, I go around all the churches and all the fucking, and you say I'm not a Christian, but I probably go to church more than any fucking Christian I know. I mean, really. So it's ingrained into my culture. And when I see these fuckers attacking Christianity, they're attacking me. They're attacking my culture as well. You know what I mean? So I've got a natural response to attack that as well, in a way, even though I'm not a Christian, which is it's a weird thing. It's like they're trying to destroy our culture, like you said, Western culture. But at the same time, are they? Or are they trying to make us embrace it more? Because by trying to getting the left to try and destroy Western culture, we're actually want to embrace it more instead of forgetting about it. And maybe that's what they want. They want us to go around the castles. They want us to look at all their ancestors' great achievements. And maybe this is what they want. I don't know, man. You need to think about reverse psychology as well with these things.
Yeah, I mean, but we could go on about this for a long time. It's like, okay, so if they want us to appreciate what we have, is it a response to the fact that white people aren't having babies all that much anymore en masse, and they want whites to start repopulating?
I think what I've noticed in I come from a housing scheme, VB, like a housing estate, it's council. And what I've realized, big families, big white families, they're usually less educated, they've got less stuff. I think it's maybe better that white people have maybe a boy and a girl, or 2 or 3 kids. Like, I don't think having 10 kids is the way forward for Western society, really. I think quality over quantity when it comes to kids. I think back in the old days, they had to have 10 kids because fucking 9 of them would die of getting through certain diseases by the time they were like 6. I think that's why Africans do it as well, because they have to have 5 or 6 kids, because most of them will die by the age of like 5 or 6. So I think naturally humans would only have a couple of kids, especially when kids used to kill the female back in the old days. Like, in the old days, like, childbirth would kill a woman 50% of the time. So they wouldn't be having kids all the time, because every time they have their kids, that's like risky dying. So you probably want to just have a couple and hope to live the rest of your life, kind of thing. I think it's a misconception that white people should be having lots and lots and lots of kids. It's like...
Well, no, what I'm saying is that perhaps they're bringing in all the single non-white males from all these countries and then promoting the interracial hookup culture just to agitate the white men into just having some kids, you know, because as it goes right now, like, you've got a couple kids, I think, but I don't have any, you know, and there's a lot of white men out there that are just refusing to even have kids anymore because they know it's a fucked up trap. So, well, shit, when I say all this, you know, it really makes me think, is this really just a plan from the fucking white global gynocrats to make us men, put us men back on their plantation of servitude? Is it really just part of a global gynocracy, bro? You know? Well, because white men are not interested in playing that role anymore en masse. So, you know, and a lot of the white women are just like kind of screwed, because in other cultures, all the women are taken care of. They always get to latch onto a man, and they're way more conservative. So if you're hooking up with them and having a baby with them, that's your family. There's no way around it. That's your family, and you're with that big man's with that woman permanently.
A lot of stuff you say, man, it's totally right. And the only reason why women really like the suffragette movement and all this stuff, man. It was just to tax two people. It was to get them out of the household and tax them. So we know women aren't being put on a pedestal to benefit them. It's just to tax them there, and it's like maybe you think it's a feminist movement, them getting out of the into the workplace, but really it's just another move by the global elites. I don't think there's this whole feminism thing.
Well, think about it. Okay, so we're at the point now where it's like they're wanting to create this backlash attitude in the Western, population, so that we go back to our traditional ways and be more like how other people are in their countries with their values, where we have pride in ourselves and stuff. But then why did they start all this stuff like feminism, adding women to the workplace, all these stupid things that went against everything that we already had going for us, and now all of a sudden they want to bring it back? It doesn't make sense. It feels like they're just going in that one direction, and they just want to just eliminate us, and that they've just been slowly creeping in that one direction.
Maybe we need it. Maybe men need to start stepping up. And we do need to start being men again, because it's maybe this is another thing. We might start rejecting feminism, becoming more masculine because of it. We're like, fuck this, so we become more masculine because of so much of the feminine. Like I was saying before, the whole reverse thing. And maybe the elites are thinking our men are becoming a bit fucking pansy-ish. We need soldiers for the future. We need some guys like I said, maybe they're wanting the opposite effect. Maybe they don't want pansy men. Maybe they want men to reject this and go fuck you and start becoming more masculine.
Is
and
the white
what's
man
happening? Men are rejecting women and going their own way, and they're like living like the man's life.
Is the white man like damned because of the fact that we are the artists of the world, the creators, the intellectuals, the ones who do all these, I guess, softer things, And so they're eliminating us so that they can have their legions of warriors who are non-whites and who don't necessarily think as deeply as we do culturally, and are easier to control for future things like, military takeovers of regions and stuff like that. You think that's what's going on?
We've lasted for thousands of years like this, man. I mean, like my family is whiter than white, right? And we've been connected to England and all the immigrants that have came in, all the blacks, all the Pakistanis, all the Indians for hundreds of years.
And right? they all hate whites, and they all hate each other's races. See, every other country in the world, it's 100% expected for you to be a racist. It's like the normal and good quality to have. In China, if you're not racist against white people and against black people, you're seen as like scum, and they hate you. So in every other in Africa, if you don't hate the white man and hate this people, then you're considered weak. And that's a culture-wide thing, men, women, everything. There's no compassion. It's like natural to be racist in every culture of the world except for the white race. It's a very strange anomaly.
Well, you could probably practice that theory if the shit hit the fan and you had to pick a side. Just say there was a world war again of some kind. You know what I mean? Just say there was a war of fucking the races or something like that. And he says, right, whose side are you on? You know what I mean?
Well, nobody has a choice what side they're on. They're on the side that they're born on, And if they're a mixed person, then I guess they're screwed. See, and that's what makes you wonder why are they making these mixed children happen? Who's behind making these mixed children happen in the world?
It's people's choice. It's people's choice. And like I said, look at me. I'm white as anything. You're white as anything. You live in a country that's full of blacks and full of immigrants. So do I. I live in a country that's been open to immigrants for hundreds of years, and both our families and heritage is still managed to have choice and say, do you know what? I'm picking our European partner to breed with. And their kids have picked European partners to breed with. And I think it's natural for, like you said, in other countries, it's natural to be racist. Well, maybe it's natural for us to pick our own when it comes to breeding.
Yeah, that's what the question is. Who's forcing these ideas onto exclusively the white populations of the world? That why is it only that the white, like what non-Chinese mass migrate to China? None. What non-Africans mass migrate to Africa? None. Why is I guess the whole world?
Look at all these Chinese brides, these brides that you can buy online, these Malaysian or don't know where they're coming from, but all these nerds that can't pull a girl in a bar, they can get all these brides online.
Well, that's just a ruse for those women to come to the Western countries, because everyone wants. See, I guess the whole world. I mean, this is going to sound really, really controversial. It's going to piss a lot of people off, and I don't even expect you to agree with me. But as far as I'm concerned, the entire world is white supremacist, because nobody goes to Africa en masse. Nobody goes to Asia en masse. They all come to the white man's land en masse. Everybody wants to be around whitey. The whole world thinks that the white race is superior, or else they wouldn't just all want to be around us all the time.
Well, it's true. Well, our society is superior compared to other societies. That's not lying. Just look at the cities that we've built. Obviously, they want to come here. If they had decent cities, they would have stayed where they are. So maybe that's the way to get them back to their own countries, is by developing their countries. Maybe whitey should go to their countries, and instead of blowing them up to smithereens like the Middle East, maybe we should help them build the place. And you know what? Maybe they'll go back. Same with Africa. Maybe we should go back and build some kind of infrastructure for Africans, and maybe they'll want to live in Africa instead of coming to our countries. Maybe if we made their countries more like our countries, maybe they want to stay there.
Well, you know, there has been times when people have tried to develop Africa, and then they leave it to the Africans, and then the Africans destroy it once the white people leave. You know, so it's almost like a. And then think about this: how do we know that the white Western nations haven't gone into the Middle East and tried to develop them and tried to give them modern technologies? And that's what the wars are really about: is that there's those people there, culture saying, we don't want your stuff. And they're trying to be, you know, ultra conservative, even if it means they live in dust and dirt and poverty. They just don't want our magical, demonic American Western stuff. And that's what the wars are really all about. Meanwhile, we're trying to extract resources from them, and they know it, and they don't want us to dig into their land. They don't give a shit about the oil and stuff, because they could live on camels. They don't give a fuck, really. I mean, there's some rich ones that do, you know, but for the most part, the culture over there, they don't give a fuck about oil and having a rich, flourishing economy like we do over here. They don't care. They want their wife, their kids, they want food, and they want to have control of their household. That's all they care about, even if it means they live in dirt. So, I mean, that's what it's all about, is we're trying to get this stuff that they have, and they're like, why do you want our stuff? You know, and they're like, and then we're like, oh, well, we'll give you all this cool technology and all this stuff. Well, we don't want that. And then that's when the bloodshed starts. You know, and it's just weird, man, because, you know, there's this strange character up in Canada named Faith Goldie, and she's like running for mayor, and people accuse her of being a racist, but she's not. She's just a Canadian nationalist. She wants the economy to stay stable. So she thinks that the shipping in of mass immigrants, regardless of where they're from, regardless of what color their skin is wrong for the economy of the country. It's going to make everybody poor. And, you know, it's when there's mixed races in a society, everyone can be rich, and that society is more likely to get along. But when you start mixing races into society and having multiculturalism, and then everybody starts getting really, really poor because of it, that's when you have problems. And that's what she's worried about, you know. And the thing is that she's good for all this stuff. She's got all these great ideas, but then turns out she's a gynocrat, or, you know, she's like really, really pro-Israel. And it just doesn't make sense. She claims to be hardcore Christian, and I don't see how any Christian could really be pro-Israel in these current times because of what Israel represents now.
I think the whole Israel thing is a decoy, man. I think fucking the whole country itself is just a buffer zone for the Westerners to control the Middle East. It's just, if you look in the past with the Persians and the Ottomans, and we've had the Europeans have been fighting these dudes for a long time, and they've got as far as Spain. You've got to remember, Spain was an Islamic country for 200 years until like Charlemagne defeated the Muslims, the Moors over in Spain. And so I think in Western European elites' minds, there's always that threat that that side of the world could become more powerful. So they need somewhere as a buffer zone to keep them all poor, to destroy them. Israel isn't the promised land, the land of bees, honey, and the land of riches of tin, all the resources. Israel hardly offers anything. Britain is a land of resources. I think Israel is just a fake. It's a fake. I think it's like a decoy. I don't think it's even if you look into Jacob, try and look for the caves where they were buried. Even Jewish scholars will say that these places are fake. The whole Israel, Mount Zion, a lot of these places are bullshit. You can't even find them. I think Israel's a lot of shit, man. Is Israel even a race? That's what you've got. Is being Israeli even a race? It's almost it's almost like saying Christians a race. Being a Christian's a race because it's a religion. Being a Jew is Judaism. So is it even a race, man? Or is it just that point where Europe meets the Middle East? They've maybe mixed a little bit, and what you get from it is that mix. Is that what a Jew is? Like the mix of a bit of Middle Eastern and a bit of the West?
Well, it depends. Well, exactly. What is a Jew? Because there's the different types of Jews. There's Hasidic Jews, you know, and they're like Eastern European. That's where they say they're Khazars. They're from that Turkish land by Russia, you know, that Mongolian, Russian, far Eastern Europe, far Western Asia, you know, region. And that's what the white Jews are. And then they say that there's the real Jews who are, you know, more Egyptian, more African, you know. So we don't even know. We don't know shit, man. That's the scary part about history, is that we have no fucking idea.
What if there's no such thing as a Jew?
That would completely discredit the entire Bible, wouldn't it?
Well, is the Bible that legitimate, really? Like, is it the true form of the Bible? There could have been a different format. They never gave all the credit to the Jews. They could have changed it in history to suit the Jews. Do you know what I mean?
I've heard Anna Loves the Lord suggest that the Bible, and maybe you were even saying it, that the Bible was written in England for the first time, and it started with the New Testament. And then the Old Testament was something they added on after, and it was all hocus pocus. But it was all originally in English.
Well, the Old Testament, the Dead Sea Scrolls, they were discovered in like 1945 or something like that. It was kind of at the same time they were creating Israel. Like some farmer threw a rock into a cave, heard something break, found these vases with the Dead Sea Scrolls conveniently found inside. And before the Dead Sea Scrolls validation, boy, man, before those scrolls, nothing really goes back further than medieval times with Christian literature. You can't find anything before medieval times with Christian literature. So the Dead Sea Scrolls, they seem like fucking bullshit, man. And in the medieval times, most of it came from Europe.
I mean, what do the Dead Sea Scrolls confirm? Do they confirm the Old Testament existing and having been passed down? Is that what they suggest?
I think that's what they do confirm. But it was awfully convenient at the time when they were creating Israel that they found these fucking scrolls. I think they were more legitimate if they found it at a different time in history, but it was awfully convenient when they were creating Israel that they found these scrolls as well, just to back up the justification why they were the chosen people. It's like, and it just seems like bullshit to me.
Well, I saw someone in a video mention the fact that the same group of people who started Israel also started communism in Russia. And they also started feminism in America. And they also started the Nazi Party. You know, and they're behind all these leftist, horrifying fucking things that are just meant to either destroy Western civilization or, like you say, trigger us so bad that we take over the world all over again.
Or destroy everyone else. Maybe they're too weak to destroy the people they despise, so they use us to destroy them.
Wow. And they're just triggering us. They're just fucking boiling us.
They're a small group. They're not widespread like us. So maybe they're triggering us to attack the people they hate.
You know, the funny bit is in all this, that as a white guy, I have no problem admitting that on the grand scale, Asian people have more developed and better brains than white people do. You know, so I'm not even like some kind of white supremacist who thinks that white people should own the world or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm advocating for like what the yellow vests are advocating for. You know, we have a small population in the world and we have our little countries. Do our countries have to be smothered with multiculturalism, while no other race in the world is expected to do this at all. In fact, it would be racist for us to suggest that they do the same thing. You know, it's just ridiculous. Who's behind that?
Well, maybe that's a good way to destroy their culture, is make them forget about theirs. I mean, come over and enjoy our culture, forget about your own.
Yeah, but they don't accept our culture. All these mass immigrants, they go to Canada, then they have like call to Sharia law prayer in the middle of the street and shit like that, and they like shut down Toronto while they do like massive Muslim rallies and Allahu Akbar, kill the white man and shit. And like nobody, that's not really accepting Western culture at all. They're trying to, it's like an invasion, you know.
But even if you look at, like, just say that there's a lot of Polish people that come over to Britain. There's been quite a few to Scotland, but just say like there's a Polish guy comes into my village, and he has a kid with a Scottish girl, right? So that kid's now half Polish, half Scottish. Now he has a kid with a Scottish girl. Now their kid's only a quarter Polish, and then they have kids. Like, eventually, that father that came in, the Polish guy that came in, those genetics will eventually fade away. Eventually, then the home genetics will eventually overcome it. There maybe be still traces of that first guy that came over, obviously, but it doesn't mean that just because a small minority of people come over in a large population that they'll take over. When in history has that ever happened without war or destruction or something like that? When has a population just like outbred and out took over? Like,
that's what I'm saying, man. Like you're saying, they must be wanting us to do a bloody riot in the streets, a bloody civil war, race war. Is that what they're trying to trigger? Because I mean, that's the only reason they poke us as hard as they do. No other country is expected to deal with what these countries are expected to deal with. Like, look at, you know, Finland, Norway, Sweden. Sweden has it bad, you know. The UK has it real fucking bad. I heard that in London, it's like 50% non-white.
Maybe in central London, yep, because a lot of whites are moving out. They're moving out to the outskirts of London. But London's always been like that, man. London's a country within a country. If you go to the countryside in Britain, you'll not see a single black guy or Asian guy. Same in Scotland. You go to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, the major cities. You'll see different races. But if you go to the countryside, man, you'll never see. It's all white people, man. It's only because of work. All the work is in the cities. So the best way to get away from it all, man, is get out the city. If you're a white guy, and that's what I've done. I've moved out to Edinburgh. I'm in a village now of 2,000 people. It's mental. It's good, and we're all white. There's just a whole white society. Scottish, mostly Christian as well. There's one Muslim. I checked on you can actually check the stats of the village. There's one Muslim in my village. I mean, he's probably an Indian. He's probably the guy that makes the takeaways.
So how do you feel about that idea in general, though? Do you think it's a fair idea, so that, you know, like let Africans have all of Africa, let all of Asia have Asia, let, you know, the whiteys have their tiny little plot of land in Europe? Isn't that just okay? Everybody deserves to have their own.
That's fair, but it's like we need to help them, because we are the superior culture, not just race, but the superior culture. Like, if you look for hundreds of years, we have been for the past 1,000 years or few hundred years, whatever it is. Like,
China seemed to have been a pretty neat place before communism took over too. I think they had a very strong culture, you know, in the region.
Oh, strong culture, but they were always warring with each other, man. It's like that's what baffles me about the Chinese.
It's no different. It's no different with the European nations. Poland versus Russia, Poland versus Germany, Germany versus Italy. I mean, it's been going on forever.
The Chinese invent gunpowder and no invent fucking guns to fire the shit with. Instead, they're firing fireworks. Whee! Woo! It's like, fucking give me that gunpowder. Bang! It's like that's what Europeans do. Give me some of that fucking gunpowder. Boom! We'll put it in a cannon and fucking take over your country. I mean, it's like really good. They invented gunpowder, but they were that smart. They were making fireworks. In fact, they made a fucking chair that used to float with the gunpowder. Like it was a throne that fucking tried to fly. It was like they didn't even think about making a fucking cannon to stop the British taking over their fucking country. That's how smart the Chinese are. What's the opposite of original? China. I mean, that's a joke. What's the opposite of original? China. Because they just copy. So I didn't hold them up that high. And the thing is that because of the way Chinese society has been for thousands of years, the people have been beaten down, beaten down, beaten down. We're lucky in our culture. We had like reformations, and we had to have riots on the street to get our freedom, and we've developed a society to not be scared our governments, and we've managed to like get some form of democracy where we are speaking right now, like freely and openly. Where the Chinese, they still are controlled with their internet and all this fucking shit. They're not that smart. If they were smart, they would fucking stop this shit. The people are totally controlled, and they're just like sheep. They're like robots.
Yeah, the Chinese are kind of Japan's bitch too. Japan made them their bitch with ease, and they're a tiny little island.
I know, aye. So I think that the Chinese are a wee bit they're overrated for a reason. It's just another enemy. It's like, oh, the Chinese are coming to get us. The fucking Chinese are dirt shit poor. They can barely fucking feed themselves. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of them are rich as well. There's a lot of rich parts of China. Don't get me wrong.
There's so many.
If you try and gather them as a whole country, most of them are poor.
They're poor, but they're poor, but there's so many of them, and they have an attitude of fight for survival of their race. That just their sheer numbers and just, you know, any kind of stupid strategy of just push the masses forward, they'll do it. You know, because just on their sheer numbers alone. Maybe
not.
If they're called to do it, they would do it.
I'm going to get a quick cigarette, man. If you want to have a wee 5-minute break there for me, man. Talk to your audience, look at the chat, whatever it is.
Why don't you plug your phone in and just join the chat that way, or join me that way?
I'm just going to quickly get up, grab one, and come back here and sit down, sort of thing. So,
okay,
like
yeah,
10 seconds.
Okay.
With a
I can't see the chat right now, guys. Yeah, we're having a nice chat. Delayed chat. GED Skeptic was scheduled to appear on Monday, but he couldn't make it at that time. Busy work schedule. So now you're getting the conversation that we might have had back then.
Another beer, man.
So you can smoke right inside there. No big deal, huh?
It's a one-off, man. It's a one-off. It's very rare I get the house on my own, so I'm kind of being bad as well. Like, my missus doesn't like it, but you only live once, man. You only live once.
YOLO.
So do you read the Bible, VB?
Oh, yeah. I was reading up on it yesterday. I was looking up verses yesterday about stewardship. And, I was thinking about, like frustration that I have at my job sometimes because, my managers basically don't want to manage. And I end up being from a lower position than them, managing the fucking place and making sure that people are working. Because there's this syndrome of people in the modern workplace that just can't put down their fucking cell phones. I don't bring my cell phone inside the building at any job I've ever had. I just don't do it because I'm there. I'm getting paid to work, so cell phone can wait. Check it on the lunch break. If it's an office job or whatever, that kind of a job, I'll check it on the lunch break, and then after work because it's not that fucking important. But then again, I also don't have kids. So, I guess if I had kids, I might need to keep it on me. But, You know, if you're a good parent, you know where your kids are and you know what, you know, who's taking care of them and they're in school and they're being responsible, you know. So you shouldn't have to worry about your kids bothering you. But I just don't understand how people just can't put down their fucking phones, man. And then
That's
nothing gets
amazing,
done.
man. I was sitting on like the bus going to work. I was just looking at the window, and it was one of those sunsets. It was amazing, the sunset. I was looking, and I looked around at the bus to see if anyone else was looking at this, and everybody, I mean everybody, was on their phone like that, either looking at their phone, looking at something on their phone, or headphones in the phone, just sitting and listening to the headphones. Everybody. I can mind being a kid getting on the bus and like people just sitting there and talking to you, like kind of like just chit chat, small chit chat, like nice day today, and you were just it was sometimes awkward just sitting there and not talk. Back in the old days, when you're sitting there, it'd be awkward silence, so people would just chat anyway. And
yeah, it was friendlier times back then, man. Now, but for some reason, government or entertainment industry or whoever the fuck is controlling us in the masses has gotten everybody to the point where everybody's scared of everybody else, or they don't want to be around other people. They're antisocial, they're insecure, they're awkward. They feel like they have thoughts going in their head that are not going to fit in with the other people, and then it's going to be an uncomfortable situation, or that they're going to be obligated to future interactions with a person that they might not want to have. You know, because once you talk to someone now, it's like, well, you had a rapport before, so now you kind of have to keep talking to them and stuff. You know,
it's Facebook, man. Like this fucking Facebook stuff is. It's like everyone's putting on this front, this fake show, and it's like, and when they see them in real life, they put their heads down. Like I've got people that are like speaking to me on Facebook, like, hey, man, and then when you see them in real life, they fucking walk past you in the street. You're like, what the fuck? That was weird. But that's what it is. People are living alter egos on the social media, and when it comes to real life, they're socially retarded now. And I think it's Facebook's fault. Social media and Facebook is making people socially retarded because it's keeping people inside their own little bubbles, creating little alter egos for themselves.
Yeah, I know. And it results in even the older generations being a bunch of cucked out weirdos, because I was thinking about it. You know, the management problems at my job go up through the top GM, the general manager, and then they go straight to the owner. The owner is a fucking this woman who she'd rather people be happy than people do the fucking job and make the numbers because she's a franchise owner or whatever the fuck. So she gets bonuses and stuff, and her life is a better life if she does better work. You know, it's just that simple. She gets rewarded because it's a corporation and they reward their branches and stuff. And her branches this branch always has shitty numbers. And it's like, well, why do you keep putting shit people, and you put shit in, you get shit out? And then you complain at us and yell at us and stuff. Look at the fucking leadership you're providing this place. You're putting a bunch of fucking failures. Like the managers can't even fucking show up to work on time. The managers don't fucking tell the workers to do their jobs. They're simple ass, weak ass jobs that make the time pass. The managers can't even fucking get their heads out of their own fucking cell phones for like a 10-hour shift. They're just sitting there on their fucking cell phone the whole fucking time. It's like, man, are you the owner? Don't you watch the cameras? Don't you see your fucking managers are just total pieces of shit? So don't ever come in here and bitch about anything, because you ain't doing shit, you know? And so I was thinking about stewardship, and I was thinking about the fact that, okay, so you're a woman, you own this business, and you're the steward for all of your employees' lives, because we all need a paycheck to live, to eat food, to put food on our fucking family's table and pay electric and all that, pay for the house. And your stewardship is this big fucking fail. So like, you know, is there a special level in hell for you fucking evil bitch, because of the fact that you just continue to keep failing and making everyone else around you, all the people that you're a steward of, fucking fail? God gave you the blessing of becoming that steward where you have that power and you have 30 employees at just this branch, not to mention all the other branches. And that's your stewardship of it. You know, that's what I was thinking about. Sorry, bro. Go on.
No, that just reminds me, the word steward, like you said, steward, you kept saying the word steward. And it reminds me that the Scottish history, the Stuarts, and you know, like the Stuart dynasty in Scotland. Well, these guys were stewards. The name Stuart comes from High Steward. The first Stuart was a High Steward of Scotland. So that name Stuart turned into Stuart. And same with the butlers. You know, Idiot Glenn Butler, his name is the same. It comes from the butler, the servant of the king. Because back in the old days, VB, there wasn't such thing as surnames. There wasn't surnames. You were like, Jed of the Glen, or kind of like you had the names of the
Yeah,
place you were
O'Rourke.
from. Or
O'Rourke
Mac.
meant, yeah, O'Mac, O'Rourke, all that stuff means
Yep.
from the city of, from the city
Yep.
of.
Yep. So the whole surname thing was to tax. It was for tax reasons, the surname. So, and these Stuarts that came into Scotland, they were Norman descent, man. They were like for French. Like King David brung in the Normans, like 1066. This is when Britain changed, man. I think this was the real Crusades. The real Crusades, they talk about going to Jerusalem. Nah, the real Crusades were the Normans coming to Britain and defeating Harold and taking over Britain. That Britain was a holy land, and the fucking Crusades was to Britain, mate. And 1066 was when Britain changed. This is when Scotland changed. The real kings of Scotland, like Macbeth. Macbeth was one of the real fucking kings of Scotland. When King David came in, he brought all these Norman influence, or the French, or this French influence. And really, Britain was taken over by like a French normal sort of culture. And it's never been the same since. The real kings of Scotland, bullshit. The Stuarts, they're part of the Normans. The Bruces, Robert Bruce, he's Norman. His dad was de Brus, D-E, Brus, de Brus. They were all French guys. They wiggled their way into fucking Scotland. Bruce stabbed a few of the real Scottish kings and made his way into the fucking King of Scotland. These guys took over England and Scotland, the Normans.
Well, it makes sense if the stewards took over, and then the word stewardship comes from the management of something, and they took over and started managing everything.
So all these royals from there on, they're kind of imposters.
I don't know.
The real kings are sitting doing Google Hangouts, fucking talking about mud fucking slides. Yeah, that's what's happened. The real fucking kings are sitting in fucking Google Hangouts.
We was kangs, bro.
Even the real king of Britain, he's an Australian guy. You can search this up. There's a documentary, but if the proper line, even it wasn't even a proper line, but even if it never went to the Hanoverian bloodline. I think there's a German influence in the Saxon. I think it's a Saxon bloodline. But there's an Australian guy that's actually got the real British lineage. And he's just a normal guy. I think he's like a farmer, man. But he's like meant to be the true king of Britain. And he's still alive today. And he doesn't give a shit that he's not the king.
I wonder if they ever send him special presents, knowing that. Just kind of not really to troll him, but just like in honor. Like, we know that you're really the bloodline, so we'll take care of you. And they send him like a big chunk of money or something. And just every once in a while, it's just, he just kind of just hushes, keeps his mouth hushed about it and stuff.
Well, I've been digging about Scottish history, man. And it's like, if you've probably heard about the famous Battle of Bannockburn, 1314, they can't find a fucking trace of the battle, man. They can't find a fucking trace of the battle. William Wallace, this fucking hero. You can find more about Jesus than you can about William Wallace. And William Wallace is meant to be a solid historical person. Like, well, he was definitely alive. But you can find more about Jesus than you can about William Wallace. And I kind of think that the English have went with this whole thing that to enslave a nation, you have to give the illusion of freedom. Can give them a few battles, give them a few wins, give them a few heroes, and they'll be happy. They'll stop fighting. If you keep beating and beating and beating on a people, they're just going to keep fighting back. Give them a William Wallace, give them a Bannockburn, give them a Braveheart, and the people will fucking calm down, and you can control them easier. So that's like the illusion of freedom. It's like the illusion of freedom, and the Scots have fell for it for a long fucking time. And I'm trying to dig into our history, but it's so hard, man. It's so hard.
Yeah, they closed it all off, man.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the thing is, now we've got a group of people out there believing in this mud flood, who believe, oh yeah, because about after 150 years ago, everything is faked. Nothing is left. Everything's wiped out.
Back? What's the theory? What's the dates that we're talking about?
Well, the popular mud flood theory states that in about 1850s there was a massive, destruction. They don't clear. Some say it was a water flood that was miles high, like in the Bible, and that once that receded, what was left was the mud, and then that slid around and stuff, or that it made the mud weak and the buildings descended into the mud. That's what Hans Wormhat says. That's his theory, is that because of the Great Flood, the grounds got weak and then the houses sunk down into the ground. It wasn't necessarily a mud flood sliding across the top of the land. And then there's the theory that it was just a mud flood and that it wiped out everything. And that this happened in the 1850s, and that there was all these cities that were left over where the buildings are halfway down into the ground. It doesn't make sense. And that they shipped in people who inherited all those cities. And they even referred to the latchkey kids or something like that, where all over Europe, all the women who were having bastard children, well, all the bastard children were rounded up throughout all the cities and all the villages of Europe, and they were all gathered together and sent to America. And that's who really populated America. And there's known cases of it that were documented in New York City, even up into the 1860s, 1870s. So it's,
Well, sometimes I think that the whole population of America is almost like they're trying to fulfill Bible prophecy. It's like the people that wrote the Bible, the elites, whoever controls us, they know that they have to fulfill this prophecy, so they have to populate. And this potato famine, the clearances, the crofters in Scotland, it's like the potato famine. The potato famine came over in a mist over the Atlantic. Like, it's like when you're looking at the potato famine, it just looks like they want to move lots of people over to America. They want to populate. They just want to create. Like, do you think Irish people only ate potatoes? It's like, for fuck's sake, what, a potato managed to wipe out nearly a whole. Like, I think it was just to move lots of people. And the Scottish Highland clearances, they were moving thousands of people, like, from the Highlands away to America. And it was forced. Australia as well, forced population. And it was almost like Bible prophecy. They were trying to fulfill it. Same with the whole creation Israel. It's Bible prophecy. Whoever's controlling us, this world, is trying to fulfill that book. That book isn't just a religious document. It's almost like an instruction manual in how the worlds should be and who's going to control it. And it says the chosen people, the Europeans, will be controlling the world in that Bible. And we'll populate the four corners of the world. And they've even forced us to be on the four corners of the world. South Africa, Australia, America. They forced the people. None of these people want to sit in a boat for 6 months with tuberculosis and all that and die. Most people want to just stay where they were. This was forced on the European people I think for Bible. I think it's to stick with prophecy. Honestly, mate.
See, and that part of the whole thing makes me believe it's some kind of twisted anti-white propaganda agenda that might not necessarily be true.
But how's that anti-white?
Because it takes the white people and moves them from a state of being ambitious pioneers to a state of docile immigrants that were forced somewhere like slaves.
But they were. The thing is, the people that they did move over were peasants. They weren't. But the only way maybe the elites knew that these peasants were going to fight for survival. You know what I mean? It's like.
No, but what about the founding fathers that were sent over with them that were already rich men and already had tons of money and could afford to have, cotton farms and all that stuff? Those weren't peasants.
These founding fathers, man, they're all Scotch-Irish. Actually, see, 3/4 American presidents were Scotch-Irish. 3/4. So
but they're not peasants. Is what I'm saying. They're not peasants.
But they're, if you go back far enough, you could probably find that their ancestors were on the Mayweather, or was it the Mayflower? Was it the Mayflower? One of the first boats to hit America. You probably find that a lot of Americans descend from just those people and that boat, that first boat that arrived.
Supposedly,
including the presidents. That's why they're all connected. Everyone's like, these presidents are all connected to this, to that, to this. They're all connected because only so many people came over, and then they bred and they bred and they bred. So in a way, if you go back, you can find that they're all connected to these first 500 people that came on a boat.
Ed Upside Down Head in the chat, a legend of our time, a true fucking legend, says, Jed is a fine American. Is he Cajun? No. That's not what he said. He said Australia is full of chain gang retard genes. What do you say to that?
Well, that was another thing that they were accusing Brits of certain crimes, like stealing a potato or an apple in the street and then sending them to Australia. They weren't real criminals. They had to like blame them for something. And it was a lot of poor people they just pulled from the street for not paying certain taxes, and they were criminals. But normal people, man. Normal, but they were peasants. They were the peasant class, no doubt. But those peasant class turned into the elite class in a world full of savages. Put some peasants from the first world into a country of the third world. Those peasants soon turn into the elites. That's what you find with Europeans.
Yeah, I mean, but then there's the idea that the native Indians might not even be real. I've heard that even theorized, man, that that's a race of people that's not even real. It's a complete hoax. It's fucked up, but I've heard that theorized, and it kind of makes sense.
You know what I've heard? That see these dream catchers that you have hanging up, getting these fucking things, these circle things with the feathers hanging off them, dream catchers. And we've all seen them growing up in someone's room hanging up. It's bullshit. It was all just for the Westerner. It was invented just for us to buy. Just like gypsies with their little crystals that they get from IKEA. Oh, these crystals are blessed. And it's like, they almost create a fake culture for us to buy.
Yeah, just like nunchucks. Nunchucks weren't invented until like the 1960s. He invented them. They literally did not even exist at all in any way, shape, or form before that. He just completely invented them. And then people were like, oh, nunchucks. And nunchucks represents like the martial arts, when nunchucks is just literally nothing. He just made it up.
Well, there's a lot of cultures that are probably just fucking made up. Kind of dramatic. Even like Japanese stuff. Like, I really like Japanese stuff, but it almost seems it's exaggerated, Japanese culture. There's something exaggerated about it all.
Well, yeah, when they try to do like movies for Westerners, they always exaggerate it. They use the strings where they can fly through the air and do backflips and stuff while they're doing drop kicks to the 10 feet through the
air. Back to the mud flood stuff, man. I've seen some footage, some pictures of these old buildings, these fucking old buildings, and they've got like roads going past the windows, like shit like that. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That one guy theorized that the mud actually just got weak and that the building sunk in, and that's why they look like that, instead of a mud flood sliding across land and covering them.
What about this theory, mate? Right? Public transport happened, and they needed to widen the roads. Maybe the roads weren't as wide as they were. They have to widen the roads, and they don't want to knock down that building because it's a nice little building. So they'll just sacrifice maybe the basement and build a road going past it wider. Maybe.
Well, what do you mean wider? If the buildings are staying where they're staying, you're not gaining any ground in between.
Because Edinburgh's a similar, like, Edinburgh's built on top of another city practically, and we've got lots of we've got lots of flats that you look out and you're looking out at the path. You're seeing people's feet going past at the front window. There's a lot of these basement flats. There was a lot of buildings built with basements to begin with, with lower floors, lower than the first ground level. Like these mud flood guys seem to think that buildings only had a ground level. Like they usually had a couple of levels down and a basement, usually built below ground level. And sometimes when they're making roads, they have to carve it out or make them wider, and they expose more of the buildings.
Oh, and they're exposing stuff that was meant to be underground?
Well, not meant to be underground, but they were built to be at lower ground level.
Yeah, but no one would build a window with a half half the sun coming through and the other half, you know, mud or bricks on the other side.
I know, but it's like you can't totally level all land to build buildings. Like San Francisco. Look at San Francisco. Why didn't they just level San Francisco and make it and build all the buildings or the roads flat? They had to build them all up and down these slopes. They had to go with the land. And the same with the buildings. They had to build them in slants. They had to build them like fucking to suit the landscape sometimes. I mean, it's like if that can like is if there's a slope in the land, sometimes the building will be built to suit that slope.
Rob S says bedrock is at a certain depth and that doesn't change. There's bedrock.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's no bedrock, and the foundations. Like you've seen certain buildings just sink as well. Like buildings get old and sink, and land develops higher over time. This mud flood stuff. I've been to lots of ancient fucking places, man, and I've been to places older than 1850. I've got fucking a book that's fucking 1911 in my fucking cupboard. You know what I mean? That's only like what 61 years off that kind of whatever. I mean, the 1850s, nothing in Scotland. Maybe in Australia and America, 1850 seems old. But over here, man, 1850s a fucking fart in the wind. We've got buildings over here from the 14th to 15th century, 13th century. I was just at a graveyard that had gravestones from the 15th century. How are they not affected by this mud flood stuff? They've sunk into the ground over time because they've been there for like 400 years.
Dang, man. Unless that stuff's planted there for some strange fucking... we all live in a fake matrix fucking reason.
I know, but now you're just starting to make shit up to suit the theory. And what if graves are just planted there? You know what I mean? It's like, fucking come on, man. There's millions of graveyards in Scotland that are just abandoned like that, with sunken stones, just the tips of the stones sticking out. It makes you wonder how many graveyards are completely covered. But what's amazing, VB, what I've noticed in graveyards in Scotland, any gravestones before 1600s, they don't really have any Christian iconography on the gravestones at all, which is fucked up.
What do they have? Celtic?
No, they have like memento mori, kind of that Latin, like you'll be dead soon, remember the dead. It's like skulls, the trade of the person, like shovels, rolling pins, stuff like that. Like the trade of the person, some skulls, usually at a time, what they call the sand timers, to indicate kind of like time. And they usually have like a cherub, like, but it's not a cherub. It's like usually a face with wings. It's meant to be the angel of death, but it's turned into a baby face over time. But before it was a skull with wings, and they'd have like a skull and crossbones and a timer and maybe a tool of the trade. But anything before, I can't find any Christian stuff like before that time, like on crosses, like a crucifix or anything like that on these gravestones. Like, when did they start using these Christian symbols on graves?
When Christianity was perhaps invented in England in the 1600s?
Exactly. That's what I'm starting to think, because I can't see. And then when you think about the Dead Sea Scrolls, if they weren't discovered, the only texts are really medieval. Like, and then are they legitimate? Like, Christianity could have been created in the 15th century, 14th century. Maybe Christianity was brought when the Normans came over with this holy crusade.
They say the King James Bible was from 1611.
Well, there you go. Maybe that's when it began.
The supposed history that predates that is that that Bible, the King James Bible, was translated from Greek and Coptic and stuff to get the New Testament, and then the Old Testament was translated in from
3 different languages. Was it 3 different languages?
Yeah, the ancient Aramaic, the
Oh.
ancient Hebrew, stuff like that.
Was it the Greek as well?
Yeah, there was some Greek there too, and that the Greeks had already translated the Old Testament into Greek, and then so what the King James holds for the Old Testament is ancient supposed Hebrew languages into Greek and then into English.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm starting to think these ancient Hebrews, this Hebrew language, was, I think they were like Celtic races, because before the Roman Empire exploded in that part of the world, it was surrounded by Celtic. Like the Holy France was called Gaul, kind of like, and Gael, like Scots were known as Gaels and Gauls. Kind of, it was a Celtic world. Even the Germanic people were Celtic in some kind of way. The Austrians, well, they reckon that's where they all came from. They can still trace Celtic artwork and culture right through to Austria, right through to the Levant. They can trace Celtic culture right to Egypt, even. Apparently, Cleopatra had Celtic bodyguards and shit because they were meant to be good warriors. So, I think this whole Hebrew thing is Celts. I know it's fucking, it's a big stab in the dark, but I do think it is. I think the Hebrews are the Celts, and the Jews were just a made up fucking race.
Well, there's a strong suggestion, like the tribe of Dan is the Danish.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yep. Levi, and so this whole Levi as well, Levi. I think this tribe came from Lewis in Scotland. You got Lewis, Levis, Levi's, and
Yeah.
the Hebridean Islands. Oh, the Hebridean Islands, that's where Lewis is. The Hebrides is Hebrew, like Hebrew. Same with Hibernia, like Hebrew. Like, I think that's where the word comes from.
Yeah, and the Levites were the tribe in the Old Testament who were the ones that were responsible for holding all the most precious things. They were kind of the stewards of all the valuables of the Hebrew people.
Yep.
That's why King Louis and how those were all Levites, possibly, I guess you're saying.
I think it has its roots in the Scottish Islands, the Hebrides, in Ireland. I think it all started in this area, Ireland and Scotland and the Isles. I think it even started there before the English even got hold of it.
Yeah, because in the grand scheme of things, think about it. Christianity, most of 99% of the Christian population of the world is pretty much white or American, like African Americans and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it's pretty much a white. It's pretty much a white thing, I guess. And I guess like the Latins in South America, that's a lot of Christianity down there too. But those people have a lot of Spain culture mixed in with their genetics and their language.
So it goes back to what I said before, VB, is like why all the major religions have to come from the Middle East. Why didn't maybe one start in the West? And I think there's too many things pointing towards the West with the Bible and everything to rule it out, to rule that possibility out.
Yeah, I mean, well, what is Hinduism? I know that I forget if it's Hinduism that was started by supposedly basically Iranians and Syrians, the ones who are consider themselves what was Hitler's master race supposed to be called? The Aryans. Yeah, the Aryans. Mm-hmm. They consider themselves the true Aryans, and they deny being part of like other Middle Eastern blood. Like they hate the Iraqis, they hate all the Saudi Arabians. They consider themselves like the true Caucasoids or whatever, because a lot of them have blue eyes and stuff.
Yep.
And supposedly they created Hinduism by going over to India and coming in over the mountains and lording over the people and doing so. I forget what the history of it was, but they basically invaded them and created Hinduism and created this hierarchy where even in top Hindu society today, most of the people, 90% or the vast majority of Hindis are Indian people from India. And then their ruling elite upper class, just like in Mexico, is this like lightly brown skinned, blue eyed Caucasoid race that stays very, very pure and very selective, just like the top Jews do, and just like the top, like redheads do. Because yeah, like Rob S suggested, even redheads are an actual race of people.
Redheads are a race of people. Well, in a way, it's like the Celtic people. Like it's like Chinese. There's certain characteristics like you can pinpoint on certain races. Like black people have got black skin. Chinese people have got slanty eyes, and a lot of Scottish and Celtic. Because white people aren't just white people. Even white people are broken into different branches. You've got the Slavics, you've got the Celts, you've got the Latin, you've got the Scandinavian. So even white people aren't all the same. We're all broken up into different branches as well. And it's not just white and black. It's like there's lots of different whites as well.
Yeah, I've heard people argue that there's more diversity within the right race itself than there is in the whole world.
Well, look at the different eye colors, the different hair colors, even this different skin color. Well, you're saying you're part Polish, so you'll maybe have like a more olive tinge to your skin than me.
Closer to Asia or whatever.
Yep. So you're even a different white guy if I am, and same with Africa. The whole of Africa, they're all different, man. There's so much diversity in Africa.
That's what I was going to say, is that whole thing about whites having the most diversity might kind of be a myth, because there are all kinds of different Asian people. There are all kinds of different Africans. So, yeah.
Yep.
Chapin over here says, Italian and Scandinavian are different races. Change my mind. Huh. What do you say about that?
Italian and Scandinavian are different races. I think that's true in a way, because the Italians, they mix quite a lot with the Middle Easterns and stuff like that. Same with the Greeks. The Greeks aren't the Greeks they were a couple of thousand years ago. The Greeks aren't the same people they were a couple of thousand years ago. The Greeks were more European a couple of thousand years ago, until the Islamic hordes took over like most of Europe, right up to Constantinople. And that's what turned into Istanbul, really. Like before that, Constantinople was a white Western European state. And this is why I think Israel was created, just to keep fighting back.
We've all heard the song, Istanbul, not Constantinople.
I've not heard it, man.
You heard that song?
Nah.
Oh man, it was like a big pop hit in the 80s in America. It's a silly song about Istanbul and Constantinople and all this stuff. Yeah. It's funny. It's a funny little comedy song from the 80s.
I think the Western white race had a lot more lands before the Islamic Persians. They took back a lot more. They got as far as Turkey. But I think even Turkey was a more European area a couple of thousand years ago. So we've had this battle of cultures, the East and West, for a long time, man, and it's still happening.
Ed Upside Down Head wants to let you know, like, break it down to the total, minutia, and he says that basically Germans are beta Polish.
Well, they kind of jumped and chopped and changed for a while. Like if you look at the maps over thousands of years, Poland was there first. Poland. I was putting on when I said earlier, there's no such thing as Polish. There was Polish kings. There was Poland was huge, and it disappeared off the map, and it come back, and it was split up into pieces. And Poland was there before Germany.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I think I might have told you this before. Back in 2005, I read up as much on the internet as I could about Poland. I spent a whole day reading about the history of Poland, basically, the borders have shifted back and forth so many times that you almost can't count it. But there always has been a little central area that they always considered their hub of cultural, preservation. That's always managed to survive through it all somehow. But yeah, that Poland, the borders have been screwed every which way.
Same with Germany. You see Germany before the wars, they were huge. They covered a massive, and they covered Poland as well. And now look at them. So this whole Tartaria thing, it's the way civilizations, we conquer, we take over, civilizations appear, some disappear. I don't see the big suspicion behind the whole Tartaria thing. I think it's kind of connected with the mud flood thing, which kind of weaves its way into flat Earth at the same time. It's fucking weird, man, how it's all connected. It all seems to be recommended close together. Because Martin Leakey seems to be a big mover in it. Because every time I've watched a mud flood video, they would recommend Martin Leakey. And we know, like I said earlier, man, he's batshit crazy. He gets handed his information by some outside influence. I've watched him do live streams, and he's waffling through his photos, and you can see he doesn't even know. You can see that's the first time he's looked at it. You know for a fact that's the first time he's looked at that photograph. And then he can thank somebody at the end for it, and it's always the same guy. So I think Martin Leakey's getting fueled. He's getting fueled by somebody, man. Definitely. Sorry, Martin, but yeah, man, it's not all your fucking ideas. All that shit is coming from someone. I seen a hangout he done. He says, I must be psychic because I brought out something, and at the same day someone else brought something out. Maybe you have both got the same script, Martin. Maybe you have both got the same fucking script getting handed.
Damn. I don't know. There's been times where I'm not necessarily looking for anything, but I happen upon something on YouTube, and then I feel like making a video about it, but I hold back because I don't know the whole story. And then this dude Hans out here makes a video about that very topic. It's happened a good 10, well, not maybe 10 times, maybe 7 or 8 times. It's happened where I'm thinking about making a video about a very, very specific topic, and then that day, that dude comes out with the video. It's like, I know I'm not getting handed a script, and I don't feel like he is either in any way. I feel like there's just some kind of dual intuition that's just.
No, that's what I said before, man. It's all fucking connected. Like the whole mud flood, the Tartaria stuff, and flat Earth. It's all recommended. The algorithms are all throwing out fucking videos. They're all fucking intertwined. I watched a mud flood video, and they showed you a pyramid picture, and it said photo by Eric Dubé. It was a fucking fucking Photoshop fucking pyramid photo that you see in every fucking pyramid thing. That wasn't his photo, but they had to credit Eric Dubé on the photograph, and I thought, that's a fucking weird one. Why are they crediting Eric Dubé in a mud flood video? And I thought, this is fucking connected. This is like this mountains and trees shite that was earlier, but they try to be more discreet about it. I think the same fuckers behind flat Earth are pushing the trees or mountains crap, are pushing this mud flood shite as well.
Now, here's the thing. I was thinking the same thing. Okay, now I did a live stream, my last live stream, and I was just blabbing about the fact that I'd come across mud flood. And then a couple days later, Dan Pratt was talking about how he doesn't want to get involved too heavily in mud flood because it's
might cry.
Well, no, it's like one of these rabbit holes, you know, that's almost set up like a trap or something. And it kind of reminded him of the no trees. It kind of reminded him of the mountains thing. But then I thought about it, you know, this mud flood subject, there's videos going back even to late 2014, I think.
So I remember hearing about that shit. I've heard about mud flood before, man. When you said to me mud flood, I was like, I've heard about it, but I've no researched much in it because I thought it was like hollow earth and all this other shit.
It's been around for a while, though. It's not like one of these fill in the whole things that magically popped up like before with those other specific things like the mountains, the trees. Those were things that were like between the conference and the next big event. All of a sudden, we got this. There's no trees on the flat Earth. And then there was a big conference. And then that had a lull. And then we got the mountains. And then there was a lull. And then we had the conference. You know, it was like, this is not one of those. This thing has been going on for a long time. And it's just been very low. And now, for some reason, because a certain few people have heard about it, it's skyrocketed.
It's a bit like the chemtrails. It's like the chemtrail stuff. It's like it's always been there. It's always been there. But now and again, it'll get pushed sort of higher in the searches. And this is my opinion on the chemtrail stuff, man. I was looking at the chemtrail stuff before Flat Earth. And this is my honest opinion. I've seen that Simon Dan. He done a new video. He was trying to actually throw us all together. Like Flat Earthers and chemtrail, they're the same idiots. And it's like, no. Now, people that look at geoengineering and seeding the skies, that's plausible, man. That's pretty good. That's legit. When I see this chemtrail stuff, though, it is definitely, that's a psyop, man, on its own, that they're spraying us with chemicals. One thing is real, man, is that these persistent contrails, they're contrails, man, They turn into clouds. And if Simon Dan denies that clouds are part of weather, our weather system, well, he's a fucking idiot, because even if persistent contrails are creating man-made clouds, of course it's going to affect the weather. That's geoengineering, you fucking idiot. They're man-made clouds. Of course, persistent contrails, even if they're not chemicals, even if they're not fucking barium, strontium, even if they're not used for deflecting fucking deadly rays, just the fact that a persistent contrail turns into a cloud, that's fucking weather engineering. You've just created a fucking cloud in the sky. You've changed the weather. So Simon Dan can accept that contrails turn into clouds, but he can't accept that clouds are part of weather systems. So that's the way I see it. These fucking things do exist, persistent contrails, but they're not chemtrails spraying us with poison. That's part of the psyop. That's part of it to make it look ridiculous. There's legitimacy behind it, but it's not spraying and all this fucking shit. These things do create clouds.
That's disinfo campaign just to scare people. But yeah, they do change the weather. And see, there's a lot of power in changing the weather. That's the thing, is there's a lot more power than people realize. Oh, it's going to rain here, not rain there. Yeah, that's a big deal. You can shut down entire economies. You can shut down entire countries by drying them out. Look what they did in California. It's all geoengineered. It doesn't mean that the people are getting poisoned to death by aerosol sprays. Yeah, necessarily. It just means that they are fucking up the weather, which there's so much power in that.
There is, definitely. And that's what I'm saying, man. There's a fine line between this chemtrails spraying. People need to stop using the term chemtrail. They need to start saying persistent contrails and geoengineer. Even the word geoengineering is becoming a bit like chemtrail. Like
weather modification.
Weather modification, definitely. Because we know cloud seeding exists.
Yeah, weather modification was used and bragged about in an operation in the Vietnam War by the American military. They brag about it. They have whole Wikipedia entries on about how awesome they are for creating a massive tsunami flood that destroyed Vietnam or some country, whatever, some military thing that they did.
No, it was, you're right. It was, I can't remember what the operation was called, but they've always got a name for it, Operation something. But it was because the Vietnamese were digging holes underground and they just wanted to flood them out. Like flood all the tunnels.
Yeah, they created a massive, basically hurricane, that they just created it over the ocean and blew a hurricane through. And I think
they know what they're doing sometimes. Sometimes it's like they know what pressure systems are coming, what temperature the air is, and they know when to put over a hot engine. It's like, and they know that they're going to create ice crystals, which will create clouds eventually. And this whole chemtrail stuff, that's just a tag to make everyone look crazy. And Simon Dan knows this. This is why he's trying to clump chemtrail, flat earth together. Like people who talk about chemtrails, they're flat earthers. And like the whole thing's crazy. When really there's some legitimacy and some of the, even flat earth. Like NASA, we know that fucking we never landed on that fucking moon, man. Come on. And flat earth takes you down those roads. That's a good thing about it. And chemtrails, we know that they're no fucking spraying us, man. They know they're no, because they wouldn't spray themselves. Like I've seen chemtrails over Buckingham Palace. Like
you got lots of footage of chemtrails, lots of video, or sky trails. You've got tons of it, and I've got a little series of videos that are 30 seconds long. I got like 15 of them myself, and they show some real crazy fucking patterns in the sky.
Well, I started a group in 2015 called Hazy Days because I would see trails in the sky. Then it would be a clear blue morning. Then there was trails in the sky, and then within a couple of hours, it was a grey haze, a white haze. The sun, you still see the sun though. The sun would still sort of come through it all. It wasn't totally blocked. It was like a really thin layer of haze. So I called my group Hazy Days in 2015, and I've got thousands and thousands of photographs. I've got hundreds of video footage on this group on Facebook. Not one of them shows spraying, and not one of them shows like barium, and like all that shit was disinfo. A lot of that shit came into the group. But there's lots of good footage of persistent contrails creating clouds. And to me, if a persistent contrail creates a cloud, that's affecting the weather. Simple as that.
Yeah, people don't want to believe it, even though it's bragged about in Vietnam, and then it's bragged about in an issue of Reader's Digest that I read randomly back in the 90s. There was a whole Reader's Digest article about how they can modify the weather and how they're going to be doing it for Super Bowls and how they're going to be doing it for big sporting events. And they do it for WrestleMania. You know, they've had WrestleMania outdoors for the last couple years in a row in some pretty moist, you know, shitty condition areas. And they've managed to not have a single drop of rain magically. And then as soon as they leave that area gets a major storm. And it happened in Orlando twice, right where I live. In 2008, they had a WrestleMania downtown, just a couple miles from me. And then they tore that building down and built a whole brand new outdoor football stadium. And then as soon as they did that, WWE came through and had another WrestleMania there. And that was just a couple years ago. And after each one, you know, that day, it was crystal fucking clear, beautiful, even though it was a rainy time. You know, it's April, lots of rain, but that day is just magically crystal clear. And then as soon as that day is over, we just get bombarded. We get like terror fucking storms and shit because they're holding it all back or they're doing something. They're throwing off the balance and it creates massive problems, you know, and you lose power and shit.
On the subject combat sports, since you mentioned the WWE, but I didn't want to talk about WWE. Did you see Tyson Fury?
No.
Wilder. You don't see the Tyson Fury Wilder fight?
No.
Oh, if you want to talk about a role model for white men, Tyson Fury. I swear to God, even when the whole world knew he won, he didn't even kick up a fuss about it. He acted like a proper champ. He knew he won. The public knew he won, and he took it on the chin like a proper dude, like a proper man. And this is what I've been trying to say about this whole shit about MGTOW. Fuck MGTOW. Fuck this men going their own fucking way shite. This is like we're victims. It's almost like a feminist group for men. It's disempowering, man. It's disempowering. The same with this fucker Jordan Peterson, man. I used to watch Jordan Peterson.
He's not MGTOW.
I know, but I'm just jumping from guy to guy.
I'm not even MGTOW, but I'm not going to let you destroy MGTOW.
Right, listen, man. Listen, Jordan Peterson, this guy, right? I listened to him before, and he said a lot of good points about Western culture, Western men empowering themselves. And then I realised he was coming to Edinburgh. I checked out how much, £80 to go and watch Jordan Peterson waffle a lot of shit. How empowering is that? How empowering is that? A man has to go and pay £80 to sit and watch this old, crusty prick tell us how to be men. How to be men, how we should be, how we should act in Western society. We should take all this shit for Mr. Peterson. How empowering is that? Well, do you know what empowering white men is? Saying, fuck you to Jordan Peterson. I'm going to live my fucking life without you tell me how to fucking live and where my flaws are and where I'm going wrong. Have a look in the mirror, Peterson. And stop charging £80 for men to come and fucking just put you up on a pedestal and idolize you fucking prick. That's a message to Peterson if he's watching.
Here's the thing, brother. I'm on the same boat as you. I'll listen to his crap and see if there's any good ideas in it. I'm not hooked on Jordan Peterson. I got better people I listen to, but he's got some good ideas some of the time.
Thinking ape.
Okay. And what I'll do is it just shows that you are an A type and that I am too, because I won't pay. WrestleMania, my favorite thing, is literally blocks from my house. I'm not paying money for that shit. I'm not going to that. Oh, I love the fucking thing. I'm not going to pay money like that. I'm not going to go to pay to see Jordan Peterson or any of my heroes. I don't support people like that. It's just bullshit. It's like your idea is your idea. I get the value from it just knowing it. If I found that idea for free, the information got out, you put yourself out there for free, and I got your gist and I absorbed it, then I got what I need from you. I'm definitely not going to go and be a fanboy and give you $80 because you are a great dude. But I'm not going to do it.
It kind of contradicts his whole point of empowering young men and all that stuff, that we have to go and pay £80 to go and watch the guy.
No, that's for his beta cucks that are thirsting for the help, and they feel comfortable being told that they're losers and that they can do something for themselves instead of like hearing that message and actually just going and doing it and making that change and being a man in their life, which is something that you and me, we've always been that way our whole lives. We like probably haven't had to deal with that kind of a slouchy attitude and failure and shit necessarily, So. A lot of guys out there, though, that's their life. They've been beaten in their head that they're a failure. A lot of that comes from like single parent homes and shit like that, where there's no dad at all. That's what happens to the men like that. When they have no male presence in their life, usually they end up being these type of beta cuck dudes, They're just they're fueled by female validation. It's the only thing that matters to them in life. When they don't realize that if you actually don't feed off female validation and live your life for it, you actually become much more attractive to those very females that you hope to be attracted to you. It's a crazy paradox, but it's why the asshole always gets the girl, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, they don't realize that. They don't understand that.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to like the whole Fury thing. It's like he accepted, it was a draw. He knew he won the fight. And it's like, we should accept that. We should be the champs. We should be champs. We should act like champs. We shouldn't be moaning about feminism and fucking this and that. We should know we're the fucking men. We know we're the fucking superior. And why even grumble about it? Let the inferiors grumble about it. Let them fucking fight amongst themselves. We know we're the fucking champs.
That's the whole point. That's what I've taken from MGTOW. I'm not even MGTOW, but I've applied those traits, or not those traits, but I've applied those principles to my own way of thinking. And it turns out that a lot of them are in concordance with what I've already been doing my whole life anyways. You know? So it's like, oh yeah, there's just a certain type of people that have it, and some just don't have it. And it's a sad reality, but that's just the way it is. I consider it a blessing from God, certain traits that I have, you know. I'm like really humble and thankful, you know.
Well, that's humble, but you should give yourself more credit as well.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Like, instead of just giving all the credit to like divine, do you know what I mean? Like, maybe you're a good dude in general, like without any outside influence, you're just a good dude inside, good heart. And it's no because of God. It's because you're a good dude. You're made up.
I've always been a kind-spirited kid, you know. And then growing up, I got into a lot of trouble where it was all about drinking and drugs and stuff, and I just didn't give a shit. And I was just a total prick to everything and everybody around me. I was just a total fucking failure, just a loser. And everybody had all these hateful feelings for me, and it just carried on for years. And it was justified because I was just a dick, you know. But I had certain ethical lines I still would never have crossed and never did. But you know, just generally an annoyance and stuff, and an inconvenience, and someone who puts people in a bad situation where they're pissed, you know. So I was that guy for a long time, and then that all kind of changed. It all hit me in the face, and I had to be on house arrest and all this shit, you know, and I had all this fucking trouble. And basically, that's when I started getting into the Bible, and then I started having these times when I was just reading the Bible for hours and hours and hours a day, and then talking about it in a group with you know, like a really knowledgeable pastor who had been excommunicated from his church for being too hardcore Christian. And so we would sit around in group and we would talk about basically deep Bible study, you know, with concordances, talking, you know, so you can understand all the different languages of origin supposedly from it and everything. And then when I was alone reading the Bible and getting this feeling like Dan Pratt was talking about, like where you get a literal rush through your body and your spine stands up because you have a great revelation of the fact that you must be created by God, you know, and it like really hits you in the face when you're reading something, and it brings tears to your eyes sometimes even. And that did change me. But I feel like how much of that is my fault? You know, is it because I chose to sit down and read that? Or is it because I felt like I had to, like I didn't have a choice to read the Bible like that and get all into it? I don't know what it was, but it definitely made me a lot better person. If I would have continued down the same path I had been on, I'd be dead by now.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's why I could never be against something like Christianity. That I've heard so many stories of people being in so many bad places with drugs, alcohol, whatever, and then turning their whole lives around because of the Bible and Christianity. How can I say that's a bad thing? How can I ever say that's a bad thing? And how can I ever beat Christianity down when I know it's been so good to so many people? It's been a moral code for people that don't really know morals.
Would you say that Christianity might be looked at as a way to kind of edge off testosterone in society so that men don't just get too rabidly aggressive? Because if you think about it, if there wasn't something culling those urges in us, we wouldn't have civilization. Where does this civilization come from? I guess it does come from philosophy and from the Bible and stuff like that. Because otherwise, men left unchecked without some kind of balance, some kind of moral attitude to aspire towards. You know, men, the testosterone is a very powerful fucking thing.
I know, but I still didn't think we'd be pure masculine savages if we never had the Bible. Because our women make us, and our children make us Like they're the ones that melt us. They're the ones that bring us back to like out of that fight, defend your family, territory, that masculine role that and this is I had to give it this is gonna be a crazy subject I'm gonna talk about, man. Actually, I'm gonna have a cigarette before I talk about this. I'm gonna get one quickly, but this is gonna blow you away, man.
All right. I'm gonna attach myself as well.
Right, I'm back. See, I'm that quick. Right. Since we're on the subject of Tyson Fury, that boxing match, I was telling a boy at my work, and he's about 25. I said, did you see the Tyson Fury match? He says, no. I says, I had a free house. So I was meaning there was no one, no wife, no kids. So I said I had a free house. And what was the first thing he said to me? Oh, if I had a free house, I'd be wanking all night. And I went, what? He went, I'd be wanking all night to porn. I says, that's what you do if you had a free house. I says, that's bullshit, man. You can't keep wanking like that. And honestly, man, at my work, I gave this boy a lecture about masturbation because I feel that, and I know this from experience, man. We're all young. We all had the urges, man. But I feel that that's almost like your masculine spirit. That's like your mojo. See, when you masturbate and you let that out, you lose ambition, you lose drive, you lose everything. It's like even, you know, yourself when you're with your partner and you do your stuff and then you know what I mean, and then suddenly all that goes away. You just like move over him. You know what I mean? Get over the other side of the bed, and it's like everything disappears from you. So I think this whole idea that boys, men masturbating all the time, it's taken the ambition, it's taken our drive away from us. This is maybe what porn's for, to keep men wanking. And it's like wank, wank, wank. It's like, but see if you stop and think and like don't go for the animalistic urge of masturbating. Like, don't do it. Just like you actually become above the animal. You become above the animal when you can control that urge. You're like having to pull yourself. You become above the animal, almost like, I'm not saying divine, but kind of it's like a priestly thing you kind of have to do. Maybe that's why there's so many pedophiles, because they can't control that. But to me, your semen, whatever it is, it's like your male energy. If you're always releasing it, your spirit, it's like your spirit. It's like boxers even get told not to masturbate before fights, like the night before, or have sex with their partners the night before fights, because it takes away that drive, it takes away that fight. And then maybe this is why they're introducing so much porn and so much. It's just to get men masturbating all the time, and it takes away that fucking fight. If you want to fight a government, get a whole fucking civil, get your whole population wanking, and they'll be quite happy. You know what I mean? Like just wanking over porn. I mean, it's like, so I had to give this laddie this lecture, and I just told him, man, just stop wanking, son. I say, it's like, even before work, you just become lazy. Just stop wanking. I mean, and I had to give him a whole lecture on masturbation. And do you know what I felt like? I felt like a fucking Christian. But I do believe it's our drive, it's our mojo, it's what makes us men. If we're always emptying ourselves of that and making ourselves redundant in it, we will become beta males.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why these guys who make it their life's quest to be single and conquer as many women as they can, they're the ultimate cuck, man. They're addicted to validating vagina. They're addicted to that vagina. They worship it. They can't stop it. That's what all their drive and all their energy and all their great skills and all their energy that they have to offer the world potentially. It all gets focused on that. And that's exactly.
There's a few things that separate us from the animals, VB, man. And one of them is art. You can't look at the animal world and say that they create art. This is what makes humans, us, special. And another thing is like the way we can control ourselves. And it's like you almost become divine by controlling those animalistic impulses that make you want to do something. But if you can control that and beat it, you're raising yourself above the animal. I mean, you're becoming divine. if you can stop yourself with that urge.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's the idea.
That's
It's
how
the
you get
idea.
rapists. That's how you get rapists. They're animals. They can't control themselves.
Yeah, it's the idea of delayed gratification, and that's a cultural thing. It comes from the more high IQ cultures of the world. That delayed gratification. That's how empires are built, because you work for something and then you reward yourself at the end, and that's how
Exactly.
great things are built. Yeah.
Yep. But aye, it was a crazy subject to talk about. I know, man, masturbation. Does they always come up? But that was my opinion. I thought I made a good
Yeah,
content about it.
it's
And
it.
then later on, he turned around and said, "Jed, I was thinking about that." And it's true. Like when I have a wank, I can't be arsed. I can't be bothered doing stuff, and it
But
takes
yeah,
away drive.
it's a great point, man. It's like pornography is a militarized weapon that's being used against the masses, man. It's a deep fucking thought,
It's like a
actually.
joint. It's like a joint, mate. It's almost like a joint. A wank's almost like a joint. You get that same, oh, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered doing anything. I can't be bothered fighting government. I can't be bothered loving my children, loving my family. It's your spirit. The Father, the Son, and the Holy fucking Spirit is your shit, man. I'm telling you. I think that's what they mean by that. The Holy Spirit is your shit. I think, you know what I mean? You need to look after it. You can't just go jizzing it in the toilet.
Well, yeah, I remember watching conspiracy theory videos back in 2010, maybe even 11, talking about, how porn, and they were Christian videos. They were like hardcore Christian church videos that were like, porn is from the devil. Porn takes away all that's good in life. Porn, and at the time it was like funny to me. It was like, oh, this is crazy, these Christians, because I'd kind of like fallen away and stuff for a long time. But, looking back now, it's true, man. It's almost like a demonic fucking weapon that they can use to yeah. It's kind of scary. So you're a closet Christian and you're a closet flat earther. So now we exposed you.
I'm still trying. Do you know what? I'm still trying to find my spirituality, man. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. See, when I go to these places, man, like these old ancient graveyards and stuff, there's a feeling I get that I don't get anywhere else, man. And I go on these lone walks for like 10 miles, like 12 miles, and I get to these destinations like a buried ancient graveyard. And it's just something, like, I do feel something. I don't know, it could be just because I'm knackered after the walk, but there's just something spiritual about these areas. And I can see why they built churches on certain parts of land, because you got a certain feeling in certain areas. You can almost feel the energy, like, I don't know. And that's what keeps me going. And every weekend since I've moved through this countryside, I've been visiting a castle, a palace, a sacred ground of some sort. And I'm loving it. I'm thriving. I'm thriving as a human. I'm thriving. And I couldn't be in a better place right now in my life. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's good to see that, man. It's crazy. You get into all these different truth subjects, and some of them go most of the way for you, personally, whatever they may be. And then they always got something that falls short, some characteristic about the idea that falls short, that doesn't fit in with your worldview. And it kind of sucks, It's like, fucking, Red Ice TV. I love their content and stuff. And it's just basically preservationist stuff. I know it's way too extreme for most people, whatever. I don't really care. But it's beautiful fucking work. It's hardcore content that they've paid their fucking dues, and they make great content. And then, but the thing is that, they're so hardcore about their subject that they end up being, they literally worship Thor and stuff like that. They say that because they want to worship all these other gods. And it's like, you guys are awesome.
White supremacist thing, yeah. You know that.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, you guys are awesome in it, but you should be Christians, like, this is about Christianity. This is about God, sacrificing himself for everybody in the world, and there's nothing wrong with having your people and letting people have their people. That's all it is, and they're just fighting so that I feel like that Red Ice TV, they're fighting so that the white race doesn't get exterminated from the world. That's basically what they're concerned with. And they're early. They're calling it real fucking early, but I feel like they might be on the right path.
If we're so superior, BB, we won't get exterminated from the world. If we aren't the superior race, we will.
Wait, say it again?
If we are the superior race, we won't get exterminated.
Okay.
So there's nothing to worry about. But if we aren't, we will.
Well, yeah, survival of the fittest, right? Whatever.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, though, is that it's like you got all these great ideas that are actually helpful for all of humanity, but then you want to fall short and like worship this cartoon that we all know is silly, you know. And then there's this other. Well, I'm not going to get into it because I'm just painting myself into a corner. So listen, we could change that topic if you want. But I feel like there's always something that falls short. You know, it's like the mud flood. Yeah, it's great, but then they're saying something that's kind of doesn't make sense, or discredits everything else, and it's like a whole radical shift in thinking that just.
It's the way they talk during the videos. They go through these photographs and they kind of skip through them, and it's like they're almost looking for stuff to back up their theory. It's like they're just looking for it. They're not looking for, well, let's see, how is architecture designed? Was there listed buildings? Was the public transport have an effect with these roads that are going past the windows? Like, they don't really go into things that it could possibly be. They just want to look for these things that back up their theory, and it's like you can just feel it. It feels like flat Earth all over again, man. Like, oh.
Yeah, but you just still never really pinpointed the really horrible thing about what flat Earth is. What's the real?
It's not horrible, man. It's not horrible. I wouldn't be here talking to you if it was a horrible thing. I've enjoyed it. To be honest, I was speaking to my missus. When we first moved into this house and this wee village, it was very strange because we were used to living in the city. And do you know what? I put on Flat Earth. I put on Dell. I put on Nathan Oakley. I put on you. And do you know what? It felt normal again. Where I lived, it felt like home. It felt like home. And it was strange. Even my missus said that it felt like, because all these sounds, she was used to the other flat. She was used to hearing all these voices. And without these voices in the background, it doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel like home. So when I played the Flat Earth, like watched it again, it almost felt normal, felt at home. I've only got good feelings for Flat Earth. It's never been a bad thing. It's never hurt anyone. So
yeah, I know, but like, okay, I just want to get nitpicky and try to define this. Let's break it down, though, just out of curiosity. I know you don't have any ill feelings towards that subject and people. But what do you think is the end result of these? If flat Earth is a psyop, if it is an infiltration into, what's the end result? What was the purpose of it? Has it already served its purpose?
I think I've said this from the beginning, man. I think it's connected with the NASA stuff. I think it's to discredit people, legitimate people that are looking at the NASA moon landings, and because of the internet and YouTube, it was getting really popular, this whole debunking the moon landings. I think they had to throw something in the works to discredit the NASA debunkers, and the flat Earth was a perfect way to discredit all the people that were looking into 9/11, NASA, the Sandy Hook stuff. Kind of like, it's like flat Earth was thrown in there to try and mingle it beside it all and make everyone else look ridiculous. And I still believe that to this day. I said it a couple of years ago, and I still think that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, any hardcore flat earther, the obvious rebuttal to that is, look how it does tie everything in so perfectly. You know, look at that. Because the reason NASA has to fake shit is because the Earth is actually flat. You know, it's something so revolutionary. I saw a video by, I forget if Rob S posted it or if Andres posted it, but it was a video from the 1970s where the first flight around the poles, and they had, have you seen that? It's like the video documentary that was filmed during the flights. And it has these 1970s, you know, and it has they brought supermodels from the 1970s and Miss Universe and stuff like that onto the airplane to do fashion shows for the passengers while they flew to the North Pole and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, I've never seen that, and I still think it is. Certain things are strange. Why they haven't done a full circumnavigation to north to south?
Well, that flight,
like
that
but I still don't think that's enough for me to believe the Earth's flat. I just think that it's just not maybe economically viable, maybe not financially viable, maybe not practical. There's no point. Maybe they think like there's certain things that they could be it's just not practical.
Well, the technology exists today to make all those things quite practical. So it's that's not the question anymore. There's good tech that can
It's the
handle
same
it.
with the architecture back in the old days. It's like you get these mud flood guys, and you get these guys talking about the Tartaria stuff, and these buildings were harnessing energy or ether from the atmosphere with these rods on top of buildings and stuff like that. But if they were, what were they collecting energy for? They still had candles and shit. What were they powering? If they were harnessing some kind of energy, what were they powering? Nothing, because, well, what was power?
Maybe they were heating the homes and they had ventilation underneath the structures or something.
I've been walking around palaces and shit, man. Each room has a fireplace. Like, each room needed a fireplace because it was stone walls. I just don't think that theory, this whole collecting energy.
Do you ever see old toilets in these buildings, old bathrooms, water closets?
We see certain rooms with holes in the ground and stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily say I've seen a toilet, to be honest with you. Maybe they just shit in a bucket and threw it out the window or something.
Because it makes you think, like, are these buildings used for strictly civil purposes, where it's like nobody that's in there operating whatever that building does, they shouldn't need a toilet. They shouldn't need a restroom, because they're supposed to go in there, do a job, and leave the building.
Yep. Well, toilets were quite a new thing, really, when you think about it. So these castles and stuff, the most you're going to get is maybe a hole in the ground. And I don't think you're going to get any lavish porcelain seats or anything. But I reckon they had toilets, because the Romans had fucking toilets, and all these buildings were designed on Romanesque architecture. So, and that's another thing you were talking about, the architecture. It's like, the reason why these big palaces and these big buildings aren't here anymore, they're like, why did they destroy these buildings? Why are these gone? Why are these great palaces disappeared? They weren't practical. They were massive. They were stone. Once the introduction of electricity and plumbing came in, these buildings couldn't support pipes, electricity, and they just weren't practical. They had to knock them down. As simple as that. It's like, why did they knock these great palaces down? And even today, you've got lairds and lords sitting in giant mansions, having to let the public in to look at the stuff, just to pay for the maintenance, pay for the heating, pay for the keeping of the buildings. They're falling into disrepair. These lords are sitting in these crumbling mansions in Britain. And you can see the same happening in the past with these giant buildings. Like, they just become unpractical. So there's no mystery why these buildings aren't there anymore with this mud flood shit. I don't get it. It's like buildings become unpractical.
I guess appreciation of ancient architecture is a new development in human history then?
No, it's the churches. That's a different story. But even the churches didn't survive, like reformations. A lot of churches in Scotland were destroyed. A lot of buildings destroyed.
What about the big Buddhist temples of India that have supposedly lasted for 3,000 years and never been touched like that? Those ones weren't destroyed,
Well, it just depends on the environment and how people like I say, Britain was in turmoil all the time. There was reformations, revolutions, different religious flip-flopping going on. So lots of buildings fell victim to this, especially Catholicism. When the Puritans and the Reformation came in, Catholicism and idealism and objects destroyed. Thousands of buildings destroyed, and furniture and relics, glass windows portraying idols, because idolatry, no idolatry, but idols weren't allowed in the Puritan religion in the Reformation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But so a lot of these buildings were beautiful buildings destroyed, Gothic style destroyed, and then they replaced them with simple fucking buildings with just simple stuff. And it looks like we went back in time.
Do you think our Western countries are actually in reality so set up, so solid, so stable that they can afford to fuck with their own people, like you were suggesting earlier?
Aye, you're right there. What you just said there, I think we have got it so good. We've got it so we've got a mix. We've tried communism. We've tried capitalism, and right now I think we're in the middle of both. We've got a wee bit socialism. We've got a wee bit democracy. We're trying to blend them together right now. I think they're trying to take the best of both worlds right here, because there is good aspects of socialism, like the healthcare, and like I think British healthcare is a good thing, like universal healthcare and education, universal education. They're social ideas, and I think they should be promoted and encouraged. But there's other socialistic ideas that I don't like the welfare state and
redistribution of wealth.
Yep. Yep. And the tax, like even taxing companies like 40, 50, 60%, businesses coming into your city, and your tax, like Scotland taxes businesses 40% or something like that. It's ridiculous. So 40% of a company's profit goes straight to the government. And that discourages companies wanting to come into your city. Then you lose jobs. And the same with this minimum wage bullshit, this whole minimum wage. It's like, it's a lot of shit. It's a socialistic idea, and I don't think it can work.
Yeah, that's what, because unions are the answer to extreme capitalism. Because if you think about it, capitalism left unchecked, like you said, if they put the minimum wage down lower, lots of jobs will get created. You just won't get paid that much. But eventually, if those businesses start really prospering from what you've contributed, then it'll pay off, and everyone's money goes up, and everyone gets to go up. But the thing is, then there's tyrannical capitalists who will say, nah, fuck you, I'm making 25% more this year, but you're all still getting paid the fucking same. And then it gets worse and worse as years go on. Then unions form. And unions are pretty much the foundation of what one of the British parties is, right? Mm-hmm. Labor. That's what that's all about.
Yep. Labor. That's what the word labor means, the work.
Mm-hmm. And as a worker, you're selling your time, your energy, your labor. You're selling it to someone so that they can use it for whatever they want to use it for. So they're paying you for your time and your energy. Yeah.
Yep, you're right,
it's
man.
Something that you're literally selling, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. People don't see it that way.
Yep. Right, man. It's been a good conversation tonight, man. But it looks like I'm going to have to fire away, leave you, love you, and leave you. It's been 2 hours, over 2 hours. I think I've said a lot of shit, man. I've said a lot of shit that probably annoyed a lot of people. But hey, it's the VB show, eh? That's what I said to my missus. I said, I can get away with saying quite a lot of shit that I probably wouldn't get away with on my own channel, because VB's just got that platform where you can just say what you fucking want, man. And he's already got the subs that don't care. I had a hangout the other night there, and I lost 2 subs. I think I was talking about immigration. And it's like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells on my channel.
Yeah, you probably are. It seems like the more controversial shit I say, the more my channel grows, though, for some reason.
You're lucky, man.
I guess. I mean, so you literally have your wife hanging around the house and let my voice be ringing through the house.
Oh, aye. You annoy her sometimes, man. You fucking annoy her sometimes with this feminine, like the fucking attack on women. It annoys my women, because she's anything but a feminist. She hates feminism. She hates feminists. But she's a strong woman, like in her own right. But she doesn't like feminism. It gets on her nerves. So she feels like you're clumping all the women into one section when there's lots of women that don't think the same as feminists. Actually, most women probably don't think like a feminist.
Yeah, but they're all gynocrats, though. They're all closet gynocrats.
Oh, aye. And she even knows that. We can see it in our own daughter. The manipulation from a young age. It's like Adam and Eve. That's what I said to my missus. I've had a son and a daughter, and my son was like a little angel, man, and he wasn't manipulative, and my daughter, she's so manipulative. She knows how to bend people, and she's only like 20 months. She knows how to manipulate people. And I was saying to my missus, you can see where the story of Adam and Eve comes from. Like the male was dragged into the whole manipulation of the female, and you can almost see it. It's like almost ingrained into the nature of women to be like that. But I'm not going to go too far doing that.
What, letting her hear subjecting her to my fucking shit?
She likes it sometimes too, man. I should subject it to everybody. Dell as well. She's like, turn that shite off, man. I've heard this stuff for the same stuff for 2. He's saying, my missus says, he's saying the same stuff he said 2 years ago. I'm like, I know, but I'm just hoping someone will come in and troll him and we can get a good laugh.
I know that's the struggle, man. I'm always trying to come up with something new. You know, if I've already covered it, I don't want to cover it too much, you know, and it's tough.
I do miss your Monday streams, man, when you don't do them. Like I do look forward to them. Like I don't stay up to watch them, but the first thing I do in the morning when I'm getting ready, I put VB on. I'm brushing my teeth, and the VB's on in the background. I'm sitting in the car, kind of on my way to work, kind of listening to VB in the background. So I do tune in as soon as I can, but it's just sometimes too late for me. That's how I missed you the last time, man, because it was a school night, and you're just so late.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. But I mean, that's my thing, man, is I always want to attack something. I always want to be attacking or contradicting something, some idea that's out there. So it's like few and far between. And as time goes on in the conspiracy arena, you know, and it used to be where I was attacking people mostly. And I kind of got bored of doing that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Calling
ideas are always better. That's what they say. The idea is always better to attack the person. So you look better because of it.
Yeah, that's why I'm attacking things like wave particle duality.
Oh, that's you're so on tune with that shit, man. Like even when I first seen it, like it was Doctor Quantum, like this fucking animation, and it was like a gun firing, like fucking like a Nerf gun firing particles. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And it's
exactly,
like,
man. It's
stop observing. It changes. Well, how do they know if they weren't observing? They had to turn around to see or something. Like something had to observe. It's a lot of shit, man, and you're right. Like the way you made your video, you're spot on. You're fucking spot on, man. Spot on. That is so right. You're on it. And quantum theory is a bag of shit, mate. Quantum theory is a bag of fucking shit.
Yeah. How the fuck do you separate a particle? Okay, so they're shooting that one particle out of that gun. What are they shooting it through? The air? Well, what's the air made out of? The air is made out of fucking particles. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's all
that shit. Did they expect us to swallow that shit, man? What a lot of crap. Honestly, man.
Excellent conversation, my brother. Excellent conversation.
Oh, yeah, man.
Irish Scotsman. You fucking Irish Scotsman.
I loved it, man. And it was an honor to be in the presence of VB.
Tonight. Yeah. It was just an honor to talk with me. It did not do my presence.
It was good times, man. Good times. And hopefully you'll invite me back on again.
Yeah, man. I'd like to have you more regularly than what it's been.
Yeah,
it's the second time I guess you've been on here, right? Technically, third.
No, I think it's the second I've been on yours, and I think you've kind of been on mine a couple of times, or maybe third. Maybe it's a third.
Were you on my 1-year anniversary? Did you pop in for a second or not?
No, I was listening. I was in the chat though. I was in the chat listening. It was did you have Patricia Steer on that time?
Yeah.
Tim as well came on as well. P. Mars, I think, was nearly crying on that one as well.
Yeah, interesting factoid is that I'm the only person that was ever able to get Tim and Patricia to literally talk to each other.
I know. Ever. I know that's true. That's true, man. You did it all that night. I think Jeremy was in that night. Was Jeremy in that night as well? Gem Panda. Yeah, that was epic. That was epic, actually. I wish I was part of that. But I was glad to be a spectator that night because it was so epic, and I just wanted to sit back and just take it in rather than having it. Because you know what it's like, hangouts, man. Take a lot of energy out of you, man. It's like, and you feel drained after it. But when you listen, it almost fuels you. It gives you energy.
I'm telling you, there's like a weird subtractive and additive nature of it. You're right, man. Like every time after I do one, even when I keep it to 45, 38, 39, 40 minutes, you know, something like that, whatever I do lately, afterwards, I'm still like, woo. But I remember I used to do 2-3 hour live streams, even by myself sometimes. And afterwards, I'd just like fall asleep on the couch within minutes after turning it off. And it's strange. But then when you go back a week later or 2 months later and you watch it, it's just, it fires you up, especially if you do a little, you know?
It does. Almost gives you it back again. What it took.
Takes you back in time and it gives you all kinds of fucking thoughts that trigger in your head, and it makes you feel like you're on fire again. It gives you a purpose to keep going, something to look forward to tomorrow. Now it makes me think of this. Now I got to look up and see if there's any videos on this subject, and then I can use that and then make that as content that I could then present to my fucking listeners and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Exactly, man. Exactly. You're so right. Anyway, dude, catch you later.
All right, bro. You hang up. I'm going to say bye to my audience after you hang up.
Have a good night, man. Have a good Christmas if I didn't see you before then.
All right. Merry Christmas to you and your family,
Merry
bro.
Christmas, man. Take care. Cheers.
All right, guys. How fucking awesome is that? You know? Freaking GED Skeptic Media, straight out of Scotland, you know? It's part Irish, part Scottish. You know what I'm saying? And I've been blessed with the fucking most devoted live stream participants. And you guys, it's an honor to have all of you in the most dynamic live stream Flat Earth YouTube chat in history of humanity, in the history of mankind. You know what I'm saying? We're joined by Lori Gale, Kavas 99. Oh yeah, Ed Upside Down Head, an icon. All right, Christopher, good to have you. Concerned Citizen, Schlumminger. Anna Loves the Lord. It's probably like 4 a.m. where she is over in Ukraine or Russia, right over there. Anna Loves the Lord in the house. Peanuts Clark, Rob S, straight out of the Northeast. You know. Kaylin Dragoda. Everyone's a shill. Fuck it. Everyone's a fucking shill. You know? Fucking Chapin coming in. Andres. Subscribe to Andres for all the latest. Andres. Johnny Murdoch. Wow. No tartar sauce here. Fucking YouTube Dark City. Wow, couple of clowns who don't want to read maps. Is that what he's saying about us? Oh, I don't care. I don't care. Everyone's welcome. It's a troll's paradise. You know, fuck it all and fucking no regrets. Rob S makes his own porn. Chapin says he wants to be exterminated. Kavas 99, I'm loving this conversation. Yeah, this was an intense one. Chapin says, is VB not a religitard anymore? Oh, get out of here, bro. Come on, you know better. Flat Earth Reset. If that's the Flat Earth Reset, it's an honor to have you in my chat. That's a shame when heroes and role models are Satan's actors on TV. Yeah, I'm saying, like, you know, that's why, you know, if there's an idea out there and it's good, you know, it's a good idea. It's no reason to go and be a fanboy of things, because usually when you're fanboying and when they're selling tickets of things, there's ulterior motives. Multi Tom Tom says WWF is fixed, you moron. Yeah, we all know it's all actors. Yeah, it's entertainment. It's strictly entertainment. Ed Upside Down says Peterson is a lump. Schlumminger says 80% of birds are gone and 90% of bugs are gone too. Multi Tom Tom says VB got a community strike for showing Jed's face. Rob S made a great point. 30,000 planes in the air, 24/7 for 40 years of spraying. Environment would be decimated. That's true. That's true. So what it is more likely is that it's weather modification. And like I said, there's a lot of power in that. You know, Rusted Soul joined us. Multi Tom Tom. Andres. Face has joined us. Wow. And that's about pretty much about it. There's no other names. Wow. The devoted few. It's an honor to have you guys. I can't wait to go back and read this crazy chat when it's all said and done. But for now, the Wanderer. Daylight, Ohio has joined us. Wow. All right. Anyways, for now, it's been great seeing you. Probably see you Monday. Who knows? This has been Validation Boy live stream, December 15th, 2018. Special guest, GED Skeptic Media.